started to pick things up after a slow start. With 5 consecutive wins and a matchup with number 14 Texas on Tuesday, KU is looking to improve its position heading into the Big 12 tournament. Kansas is back in the AP poll, ranked number 17th in the nation. I'm joined by Emma House and Max McElroy to debate if KU is ranked too high or too low in the latest AP poll.
Basketball, let's talk about it.
It's definitely been a weird year for Kansas basketball.
It has definitely been a weird year for Kansas basketball. So I'm going to go ahead and say that we're lucky we got 17. I honestly, when I saw the AP poll come out, I thought we were going to be like probably 20. And I saw 17 and I was like, there's no freaking way. I just feel like we've been so sloppy with basketball this year. And I don't want to be like, oh, our players suck, because they don't. But it's like compared to other years, like this is not Bill Self basketball. I feel like this is just kind of mediocre, barely skating by basketball with, turnovers out the wazoo, sloppy shots. I feel like we're relying way too much on three-pointers when we're in critical conditions where we can't rely on three-pointers. And I don't know. It's just, I think we shouldn't have been 17th.
I think that, even though we're talking about this discussion with Kansas basketball, 17, it's like, we're blessed as a basketball school. But I think that actually Kansas this year is a little bit kind of underrated with this past ranking and even the ranking before that. So for Kansas to follow the rankings, they had a really bad slump where they really just didn't shoot well. And in some of the games that they didn't even shoot well, they were kind of close. I know Texas, they got blown out by last time. But even when we lost to Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, it was like those games are actually kind of close, and we weren't shooting well. And so now when KU starts to actually shoot the ball well, and Dave's been a huge player recently, averaging, I think he's had 10-plus points in his last 8 of 9 games. And I think once these pieces are starting to fall in, I think this Kansas team is actually a lot better than 17. I would almost argue and say that they're close to being a top 10 team, closer than they are to being at the bottom of the ranking.
Top 10. Top 10, maybe top 12. I'll give you top 12. I don't know. I just feel like just these games, they weren't even close. We barely won against North Dakota State. Why are we barely winning against that kind of team when it's Washburn we blew out of the water? Why is it we've never really considered ND State a competition to us, and now we're struggling to get by. And I feel like we've been doing that with a lot of teams. If you look at a lot of our scores, a lot of them are within just a couple of possessions, and I feel like they shouldn't be just a couple of possession games. They should be, 60, 80.
Yeah, and that North Dakota State game, obviously it was weird, but it was the beginning of the year. But I think KU right now, I think they're honestly getting punished for having just a tough schedule. The Big 12 and the Big 10 are, I think, far and away the two best basketball conferences this year. And so I think you're punishing KU for playing really good games. Starting the year off with Gonzaga, obviously you chalk that in the lost column. But I think just them having that tough of a schedule and to be now have 17 wins and most wins in the Big 12, and then also have the most ranked wins in the entire country. This team is better than number 17 overall.
Like I said, I'll give you top 12 maybe. So are you thinking they're going to win against both Texas and Baylor, or just one?
I think they're going to split. I think that they could beat either team. I think that they're going to beat Texas. I just don't think there's no way Texas can shoot the way that they did last game, because that team shot 71% from three-point range, and I just don't see that happening again. So I think that KU can get the win here, boost them, and then they're only a game and a half behind Baylor in the Big 12 conference. And so I think that's if they win out and Baylor drops a game, then Kansas can even win the Big 12 this year too. So I don't think any of that's out of the question. But I do think that Kansas will beat Texas tonight.
Could you imagine if KU won the Big 12 this year?
It'd be awesome.
After this past year?
It'd be great. Yeah, there's been ups and downs, but I think that once the shooting gets back on track, I think they're going to be great.
All right, so you're saying top 10. I'm saying barely 17. I don't think we're going to agree on this one.
Nah,
but we will be right back after this break.